Welcome to the show. We're still kind of learning how to live stream to all the different platforms, but here we go. We're live. Today we're talking about live streaming for radio stations.
Yes, we just had the opportunity to stream yesterday from our local radio station, WCHE 1520 AM. We had a blast. We're going to dive into the technical specifics of that today and things that we could do a little bit better next time.
So all of this and more is going to be coming up next. Stick around.
Welcome back. Jinx.
Jinx, double jinx. So, Tess, there's a funny thing that happened yesterday.
Which portion? Oh, I remember one. We learned how to use an analog radio for the first time. A little bit of a funny story. Check it out.
Here's one thing I really want to show you guys. All right, so right here, this is an analog radio. So check this out.
Turn it up.
I know. How do you turn? Oh, it's over here.
He doesn't even know where to find the volume on
Oh no,
this thing.
that's not the. Where's the volume? There's bass and treble.
Oh my gosh, we look like.
Is there another knob?
such-
It's like, how do radios work? Here, there's another knob here.
But stay hydrated. Come out and have a good time.
This audio is obviously coming from that radio station right here. Look at that. How cool is that? Yeah.
That's so cool. I can't wait to go back and listen.
So I was a little bit embarrassed about my technical knowledge when it comes to AM radios.
That was funny. And I will give you credit. I mean, you knew what you were doing. I mean, we just didn't, we thought it was the volume, but it was the tuner. We figured it out though.
Yes, I think that the bass and the treble is something that I hadn't seen in a while. Anyway, we live broadcast on AM radio at a local radio station, and we do this a lot at our company. We go out, we live stream in different industries, different verticals, and really try to figure out what are the things that these industries need. One great thing with radio stations that we can do a lot of is with our PTZ cameras, our pan, tilt, and zoom cameras. These cameras can actually automatically zoom into the person that's talking based on audio levels. So it's something we're going to be getting into. If you're following us and you're interested from a radio perspective, that's something that you can learn. But we actually wanted to share with you our tech setup. And we have a quick little video showing the tech setup. And then we're going to go ahead and answer questions and show some of the tips and wiring diagrams that we have so that radio stations can be successful live streaming their shows. All right, guys, we just finished our very first live stream from a radio station.
We had so much fun at our local radio station, WCHE 1520 AM in Westchester, PA.
I even got a little bit nervous live streaming because we were also broadcasting on AM radio. It was so much fun.
Do you want to talk a little bit about the system that made it possible today?
Yes. So let me go ahead over here and I'll show you guys the system that we set up. So this is the heart of any IP video production system. This is a router. A router connects to your PoE network switch and it's really the brains behind the IP networking. What we did was we set this up for IPTV to support multicast, and we have 2 ports that provide NDI. Don't worry if that sounds like a lot. Basically, this is the router. This is our network switch, and our network switch is connected to our super fast Intel NUC Skull Canyon. This is the PTZOptics producer kit plugged into a network essentially, because we decided to do an all IP video connection, which means we did not need any capture card devices, which are really expensive. This router is only 50 bucks. This PoE switch is only 100, and it allows us to power up to 8 cameras. So we had just 3 cameras today. We had this wide angle Z cam here, which allowed us to get a really wide view of the whole radio station. Right here, we also had the ability to have a PTZ camera, you can see there, which allowed us to get close-ups from one single camera to get multiple positions. And that is all controlled over Ethernet, all controlled over IP. And then finally, we had a Z-Cam, a 12x Z-Cam camera, which has become very popular in radio to get a close-up view of our host. So we took the audio right here. This is one audio output from the entire radio station, just one single cable into a USB audio interface, plugged that USB into our Intel NUC Skull Canyon, and we also added a little bit of audio delay just to make sure that everything matched properly. If you're interested in audio delay or ever had an audio delay issue, comment below. We have a really great solution for determining audio delay. The last thing that happened here is we live streamed from 2 streams. So we live streamed on Go Easy Live in the cloud, one stream from our mobile Live View backpack, and then one stream from here. So that allowed us to switch between mobile broadcasts, which you guys probably saw if you take a look at the link below, from outside, and then switch to this system as well, which gave you guys a really great behind the scenes tour while the radio broadcast was going on. It was a lot of fun. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Take care. So how about that? We live streamed from a radio station. So much fun.
It was such a great first experience with radio, and it was kind of insightful to get some inspiration on the possibilities there.
So today we're going to go over our 10 tips for radio stations to start live streaming, and we're also going to go over a little wiring diagram to show you exactly how all the technology was set up. All of these tips and the quick start guide is all available at PTZOptics.com/radio. So feel free to download this guide if you want to print it out or save it or send it to someone in your company. So why are so many radio stations broadcasting and live streaming today? Well, radio stations already have such great content. So you have the content, you have the guests, you've got the conversation, and Inside Radio is saying that most of the growth for radios is actually coming from streaming audio, whether that's podcasting, whether that's Spotify that just added support for radio, whether they're streaming on Facebook, YouTube. Facebook supports streaming audio. That's where the growth in radio is coming from. And live streaming is going to add so many new listeners, but also possibly, if you add a few cameras, viewers.
Absolutely. A whole nother realm of possibility in terms of audience there.
So tip number 1 is camera ready your studio. So if you have a studio, it might be set up for radio. You know, there's always the joke. People say, I have a face for radio.
Yeah.
It's kind of the joke.
Yeah, some people might be a little bit shy about it, but I believe the scenario here is supposed to be like an absentee viewer, almost, the cameras. You don't always have to be addressing the cameras directly, but allow your viewers to have a visual aspect of what they're used to listening to.
Yeah, check out the popular podcasters, Joe Rogan, some of what the people are doing out there. They've got some fun posters up on the wall, maybe an American flag, different things that just help. The word I'm looking for here is prime your audience. Prime your audience. Let them know what you're about, and then it helps them connect with your content. Now, the next one here that a lot of radio stations are going to have to think about is consider your advertisers, because it was so funny, guys. Remember when we had to take a commercial break?
Yeah, a few.
3 commercial breaks during our hour-long broadcast, and it was just audio. So we weren't really prepared for that.
Mm-hmm.
And so we just showed a wide-angle view of our studio through our wide-angle PTZOptics Zcam model here. And we just showed a wide angle of the entire studio while the commercials were playing. And if we were prepared and the radio station knew that we were coming, they would have probably worked with their advertisers to show video.
Yeah,
with
I
the
mean,
audio.
think about the monetization possibilities here. You could add almost an upsell to your sponsors to add a video element with their package for advertising.
So it definitely is more advertising, more viewers, more eyeballs, more people. Now, here's a social one, because radio generally they're not going out and tagging people on the airwaves here.
Maybe not all the time. Hopefully, they're starting to use social media as that type of tool. But here's a great opportunity to tag whatever guests that you're going to have that day and hope that they share the stream itself with their audience, further expanding your reach.
Yeah, on radio, you know, obviously there's word of mouth. People can spread the word about your radio station. But on social media, it's so easy to click a button and share your something that they're passionate about, your radio show, with all of their friends. So you'll find that it will help you grow for sure.
Be paying attention to the comments and review the comments. You're going to be having a whole other audience members engaging with the content that you're discussing online. So make sure you're addressing them, bringing them into the conversation and gaining some maybe show topics from them.
The next, oh, that is a duplicate. Sorry. Here we go. Audio first is okay. Just because you have cameras in your podcast or your radio station doesn't mean you need to be looking right at them. It doesn't mean it's a television show. It's still a radio station. You will be surprised how many of your listeners now can really connect by seeing your face, seeing the expressions of your guests. And I talked about this on our radio, on the AM airwaves
on
yesterday.
air.
A lot of people are visual learners. And imagine going to a classroom and closing your eyes and just listening to the teacher. Imagine how much more you can learn by seeing what the teacher's talking about, even their own facial expressions. It's something that everyone can connect with. But don't forget, your conversation is what they're listening to. You're just adding a visual element. You're not producing, like we are now, a television style show.
Yeah, and think about it this way. You're already halfway there. You already have the audio figured out. We talked about that yesterday. So that's going to be a savings for you in a way financially as well.
And audio is the hard part. So you've already got that. Now, a lot of shows have some type of audio intro, whether it's a signature little tagline or
like
a piece of
had
music. We
visually.
have that. But you're going to want to think about adding the visual element to that because you've got people watching, just like the commercials that may be audio only. You got to add video to that as well.
If you're not so savvy with video editing, consider hiring a freelancer online. We've used Fiverr in the past.
Now, using your email list is incredibly important. A lot of radio stations that we've worked with and talked with are not collecting emails. It's just not something that they do. Whereas on Facebook and YouTube, like for example, at PTZOptics.com/radio, we request that you submit a form. We get your email address and you get added to our email list, hopefully so that we can send you more great information about our offerings and relevant to radio and radio broadcasting. We talked a little bit about how there might be multiple shows on a radio station.
Absolutely.
One for women and one for sports, for example. And by separating those emails and keeping them in like email buckets, if you will, you can offer them to advertisers. And, one advertiser might be more interested in a specific audience than another. And you don't want to be sending the sports audience that you have updates about the mother parenting audience that you have, because that just doesn't make sense. Post your live streams to your station's website. There, that's a little, you can kind of see a picture of Tess and I there in the radio station. Obviously, you want to share this on your website. The great thing about it is it now creates an archive for free, totally for free. You're not paying for video storage. You're not paying for video streaming bandwidth. For free, every single radio show that you have now is archived so that people can look back at it, quote it. If you're doing a political or presidential debate, all of that can now be researched by reporters, and your name is just going to come up more and more as a great, credible source for all of the amazing things that you produce. So create that archive and start living in the digital age.
And finally, taking advantage of the use of Facebook polls. Facebook allows you to integrate polls right within your streams to get instant feedback from your audience members. And there are a variety of different ways you can implement that onto other social media platforms like YouTube, and even some tricky ways via your streaming service.
It's a lot of fun. And now what we are going to do is look at the technical part. So the very first thing you want to think about from a technical perspective here is, how do you get your audio from your radio station into your live streaming computer? Most people are using computers.
Yep.
So computers have lots of USB ports. And so what you're looking for is a USB audio interface that can simply, we just took one headphone jack.
It was pretty darn easy. Yeah, it really was.
One cable that plugged into our audio interface and then USB into our laptop.
So you can legitimately just take the feed out of what you already have as a radio station, the soundboard there, and just bring it into a computer.
And just stream it, and you could just have one webcam. Now, we're talking about a little bit higher end production. We then placed our cameras out there. We used one PTZ camera to capture multiple views. So this gave one view of me, one view of Tess, and then also with PTZ, it can pan, tilt, and zoom, and it gave one wider angle of Tess and the guest who was sitting kind of over here. So that was the one camera that kind of did multiple roles. We had a 12x Z cam. This is really popular in radio because it starts at only like $6.99, but has a beautiful kind of like cinema Blackmagic style quality optical zoom lens there. And then this camera starts at only $499, I believe, the PTZOptics Zcam VL, which has a wide 120-degree field of view that we used to capture the entire studio.
For our audience, that was perfect to see like the background of all the tech that was there.
The next thing you're thinking about is your computer. You do need a somewhat fast computer. The PTZOptics producer kit that we'll show you in a moment that we were using has a super fast i7 Intel NUC computer. And then you just think about the software that you're going to run on it. Obviously, plug it into the network. Don't rely on Wi-Fi. So here's how our system was set up yesterday. So it starts with a mixer. So the audio mixer plugged into our USB audio interface. Our computer here, this is this little computer here, was plugged into the network. We did have a little router. Now, you probably already have a router. You probably already have a network, and you might just need to plug that computer directly into the network that you have. And nowadays, all the cameras can just be plugged into the network, and that's it, which saves a lot of time and money for installation because the cameras can be powered over Ethernet as well. So a single Ethernet cable can power the camera, get video from the camera, and even control the camera if you have a robotic PTZ model. Now, we did use SDI video because we didn't really know what was going to happen with using their network, and so SDI was our backup, and we have a PTZOptics Producer Plus kit that uses 4 SDI inputs. We used that as a backup. We didn't have to use it. All the NDI stuff worked great, but we just had that as a backup. Now, you might have noticed that if you watch our broadcast, it's on our YouTube channel. It was all stored there. We also went mobile. So we actually were using a cloud-based streaming software called Easy Live that allowed us to switch between a mobile backpack and the radio broadcast. So I think like during the second commercial break, I was like, okay, instead of listening to 3 minutes of commercials, let's switch to a backpack and show our audience kind of behind the scenes what's going on.
Yeah, it was nice to have that.
So we did that. And then this is just an idea of the setup. Now, the nice thing about Easy Live, we actually were live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Twitch all at the same time.
Crazy.
Now, we were delivering 6 megabits per second, which is what most people say is an excellent quality live stream. So that we did not have enough bandwidth to do that without a kind of cloud-based streaming server in the middle. So we had 6 megabits coming from our LiveView backpack, 4 to 6 coming from, this is the producer kit that was doing our radio broadcast. And with all of that in place, we were able to stream to 6 different live streaming networks. So that's how we did it. We're now going to go to our podcast. So if you want to stick around, we'll listen. We're going to watch the chat room, chill with you guys, and actually do a podcast live stream.
Yeah, what a perfect example of what we're talking about, because we are using the the producer kit that we were just referring to there. So let's head over there and talk a little bit more about this.
All right. We'll see you guys in just a minute. Don't go anywhere.